Disney can be dark all on its own, but fan theories often turn even the most lovable Disney movies into upsetting, disturbing, horrifying nightmares. Here are 10 dark theories in Disney movies you may have missed. But first, didn't get to be the first one to comment on this video? Well, remedy that by hitting the subscribe button to be first in line for the next video. It's always fun to be first. Beauty and the Beast. Gaston killed Bambi's mom. We already know that Gaston is quite a nasty fellow. His place is completely decorated with antlers and an assortment of heads, including bears, owls, and even a bald eagle. He relentlessly throws himself at Belle against her will, and oh yeah, he kills the Beast! There's no question he's a bad dude, but this fan theory makes Gaston even more repelling. The theory is that Gaston is the hunter who kills Bambi's mom. The proof? Well, there's not much, but you can see a deer that looks similar to Bambi's mother at the beginning of the movie. It could be any old deer, but we all know how Disney loves to use their past characters and include them in future films as Easter eggs. Plus, judging by Gaston's trophies, we wouldn't put it past him to shoot at a doe and her fawn for fun. Frozen. Kristoff is wearing Sven's mom. Kristoff and Sven came together at a very young age during a time when they both needed someone to love. Kristoff lost his parents and was orphaned, and as the theory goes, Sven lost his parents to a hunter. Probably Gaston again. Anyway, Kristoff and Sven are inseparable, but the reason behind it is a bit disturbing. Some have noticed that the coat that Kristoff wears is made with fur, and said fur looks suspiciously like Sven's fur. After all, Kristoff is Sami, and Scandinavian people do use deer fur for their traditional clothing. The theory states that the reason Sven is drawn to Kristoff is because Kristoff is actually wearing Sven's mother's fur. It's a horrible thought, but one that actually makes a lot of sense. Up. Carl is dead. This theory is a bit on the morbid side, but almost sweet at the same time. Carl's a grumpy old man, and for good reason. He and his wife were unable to have children, and when he eventually loses her, he has nothing left except for the house where they shared their lives together. But even the threat of losing his house becomes inevitable, and it's too much for Carl to handle. It's theorized that Carl dies the night before they come to take him away, and all of the events that follow in the movie are part of his journey to find his wife in the afterlife. It's actually a great explanation for the unbelievable things that happen in the movie, like a house floating around with balloons, and a device that allows dogs to talk. The Emperor's New Groove. Murder. This scene in the movie was actually really funny, but looking back at it now with the theory in mind is kind of unsettling. When Kuzco's turned into a llama and is venturing back to his palace alone, he quickly discovers that the jungle is not a safe place to be. In a callback to the 1958 film The Fly, Kuzco witnesses a fly getting trapped in a web, yelling for help, and then being eaten by a spider. The problem here is he could hear the fly calling out for help. No other animals in this movie can talk apart from the ones that have been turned into animals by Yzma. That means that this fly at some point was human, and because the fly was eaten alive, Yzma was responsible for its death. Toy Story 3. Sid still tortures toys. Sid is one of the very few that knows that toys are alive. Woody made that very clear to him at the end of Toy Story 1. But it seems Sid is back to his old ways again in Toy Story 3. What if the reveal in the first Toy Story movie scars him for life, and he gets a job as a garbage man to find toys that have been thrown away? Two theories have come out of this question. One is that he finds toys in the trash and rescues them from being thrown out. After all, he knows that they're all alive. But in a scene at the end of the movie, we see a garbage man pick up Lotso and strap him to the front of his truck along with a few other toys. This lends credence to the second theory that he enjoys finding toys in the trash and even continues to collect and torture them knowing full well that they're alive. Wreck-It Ralph. Calhoun killed her husband. Cybugs are the evil creatures from a video game called Hero's Duty that exists in the Wreck-It Ralph movie. After they invade the game Sugar Rush, one of them finds Turbo and eats him. The audience thinks this is the end of him, but he appears later as a Cybug/Turbo blend that still has all of Turbo's thoughts and looks, but altered to look more buggy. Well, that's all well and good, but let's not forget what happened in Calhoun's backstory. She was in a church getting married when a Cybug busted in and ate her fiancé. This means that as Calhoun was shooting at the Cybug, it very well could have morphed into a Cybug/fiancé combo, and she actually had to kill her husband. Now that is a tragic backstory. Peter Pan. Peter is a killer. Peter Pan seems like a nice kid, right? He just wants to take other children away from their parents to battle pirates and ensure that they never grow up. Well, that's not so bad, at least compared to what he does if they start to grow up. There's a passage in the Peter Pan story that says, when they seem to be growing up, which is against the rules, Peter thins them out. But surely that just means he puts them on a diet or something, right? Surely he isn't killing anyone. Well, we'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt, but another passage talks about Peter taking quick, short breaths on purpose because he thinks that every breath he takes kills an adult. So he does have that going against him. Moana. Maui died. Maui has a heartbreaking tattoo on his back that depicts his mother casting him into the ocean, which is what happened to him as a baby. According to him, somehow the gods found him and made him into a demigod. That explanation is a bit vague and was most likely written that way on purpose. The only way to become a demigod is by having one parent who is a god, which is not the case with Maui, or to die and reach demigod status in the afterlife. That means that the gods didn't rescue him from the sea. Maui's parents must have successfully drowned him in the ocean, and he was then resurrected by the gods and made into a demigod. Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. Prince Charming is death. It's almost too good to be true. When all hope is lost and Snow White is on her deathbed, a handsome prince appears and kisses her, waking her up and taking her away to live happily ever after. Well, according to this theory, it is too good to be true. Prince Charming is actually Death himself, the Grim Reaper. When he and Snow White first meet, she's frightened and runs away. Maybe it was because she was shy, or maybe it's because she knew who he was. Then, when she dies, he shows up, wakes her from her eternal slumber, and escorts her to the afterlife. She even says goodbye to all the dwarves forever, and they ride away on a pale horse, which is mentioned in the Bible as the same type of horse that Death uses. The Incredibles. Atlas Shrugged. If you were forced to read Ayn Rand's novel Atlas Shrugged in school, you may have noticed it has some similarities to The Incredibles. The movie starts out with the fall of the elite. After a messy lawsuit against Mr. Incredible for saving someone who didn't want to be saved, all the superheroes are forced to squander their powers to fit in with normal people. In Atlas Shrugged, Midas Mulligan is sued for trying to do the right thing, and he also loses the lawsuit. Another example is Mr. Incredible's job at the insurance agency. After being a superhero and selflessly helping others, he's forced to sit in an office and remain unhelpful at the threat of being fired. This mirrors the similar themes from the novel of Socialism and Capitalism. Or maybe it's just a fun Disney movie about superheroes, who knows? Didn't see one of your favorite dark Disney theories on this list? Tell us which ones we missed in the comments below, and look out for part 2 in the near future. If you haven't already, make sure you hit both the like and subscribe buttons, and keep it locked on CBR to find more videos about comics, movies, video games, TV shows, and so much more.